All right. Welcome everybody to Stardom. I got a very special guest. I got Larry Hankin with me. How you doing today?
So far, so good. This is kind of the start of my day.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, you think you're 2 hours behind me, correct?
Yeah. I mean, it takes me a while to get up and eat breakfast, but then I'm fine.
Oh, good. So I kind of explained to you the idea of the show, and I'm glad to have you on. Today, I picked a topic. It's unintentional humor or natural humor, because a lot of the things that I've noticed about you is, although you have short, scenes in a lot of these shows, you're so you're epic. People love you, and they know you not necessarily by your name. But I told people at work and friends, "Hey, do you know Larry Hankin?" They're like, and then I show them a picture, and they're like, "Oh, that guy! Oh, that guy!"
Exactly, though. I mean, that's not new. I'm laughing because that's like universal.
Yeah.
On my bucket list is when they say Larry Hankin, they know who you're talking about. That's on my bucket list.
Well, you're getting there, because I've noticed you've been on a lot of podcasts lately too. You're getting out there.
Yeah, because I'm trying to do that. It's exactly the reason. I'm motivated.
That's good. You gotta have motivation. Actually, when
I got a book coming out, and I got some stuff I want to sell. So, but
oh yeah,
one pot.
Right. Okay, so I'm gonna start with one of the stories I found, and then you can share something that you have similar to it, and we can talk about that for a little bit, and we just keep going. Sound good?
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So these are from like Reddits and blogs and stuff like that. This first one I have says, "I had a friend who transported goods for a pharmaceutical company. He jokingly referred to it as delivering drugs in front of his 4-year-old nephew. One day, the friend was supposed to pick his nephew up from daycare. His caretaker asked him conversationally what his uncle did for a living. Of course, the kid shouts out that he sells drugs." And the caretaker refused to let the uncle pick him up.
Cool. So you want my comment about that? Or?
Yeah. Yes, I do. And even maybe similar, maybe not necessarily that situation, but something kind of random like that.
Well, first of all, the guy who said, "Oh, you can't pick up the kid," that guy, doesn't he? Well, first of all, my first thing is the guy's stupid. Okay.
Yeah, agreed.
The guy's an effing idiot. But I mean, if you just take that, well, my father delivers drugs. Okay, then wouldn't you ask what your kid said? You deliver drugs. What does he mean by that? It's a child. Yeah. You're listening to a child, and you're making, that kind of, what the heck? I mean, but it's rampant now. The country is just stupid. This is the stupidest country I've ever been in. The only one.
I 100% agree.
So that is like randomly normal.
Mm-hmm.
The stupid decision is randomly normal. That's what's going on now.
Well, and didn't you?
So the guy's no different. I mean, if you're going to say you got a red beard, you must be a murderer, right? I don't think I'll let your kid. You can't pick up any kids. You got a beard, and I know a lot of Rasputin had a beard. So that's it. You're not picking up your kid. I mean, that's logic.
Yeah, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Head up.
No, that's good. That's the whole point of this show. Didn't you have a situation like you were shooting a scene and you said something about being on acid, even though you really weren't?
Oh, that was the cop thing with John Candy, Armed and Dangerous.
Yes, Armed and Dangerous.
I was playing a guy on acid. I've had that situation in several movies, because here's the thing: I'm dyslexic, and one of the things about my dyslexia, among many things, is I get distracted easily. My attention span. So if I get a part, because they're so short, these parts, a lot of them are, and that's because of my dyslexia. I choose them on purpose. Is that I have to stay in character, and my mind is always going like a million miles a second. So anything, so I got to concentrate, and so I stay in character off camera a little bit. I mean, you know, I'm not De Niro, but
Yeah.
but I try to do it because of my dyslexia. I try to concentrate on my character, you know. So I don't, you know, schmooze when my scene is coming up. I'll just stand quietly and just try to. So, and I don't. Therefore, I'm just saying I don't talk to other people. I just stand there and wait for my turn. So that's a situation. So the director, James, I forgot his last name. Anyway, but the director, I didn't know the director. Director didn't know me. In a lot of these movies, you have a casting director, so you're sent in. So you never you don't meet the director, the guy who you're going to be working with all day.
Yeah.
Until you hit the now on major movies, the director is the guy who auditions you, so he knows you, get to know you, and there's a give and take. Well, on that movie, no. So I showed up, and I'm a acid freak, a Kokolovich. And so I was on acid. I had a bit bandana. I was dressed like I was on acid. I mean, that was the costume.
Yeah.
So he just never talked to me, ever. He never came over. You know, if anything, he would just say, you know, stand over there, or very short, loud things he would say to me.
Yeah.
Stand over there. Okay. And I never answered him. I would just go and stand over there. And then I found out a year later that the reason he didn't was he believed totally that I was on acid, and he didn't want to rile me up. An acid, you know, craze.
Yeah.
So he backed off. So, but I didn't know this. So that dynamic was there the whole movie, and I didn't know why he wouldn't talk to me. And he thought I was on acid, so there was this tension until the crew screening, where you all come in. And when I walked in, he was standing at the doorway, just saying hello to people. You know, hey, it's my movie. How you doing? You know. So as I came in, he pulled me aside and he said, "Listen, I got to apologize to you." I go, "Why?" And he goes, "Listen, you know, there was like a little tension between us, and I didn't talk to you at all." I go, "Yeah, I was just wondering about that." So he said, "Well, I just want to tell you, I thought you were on acid, so I just backed away from you." So he confessed to me at the crew screening. Now, the real, not damage, but the real effect of that on screen is that whenever I was in a scene with one of the major actors, who's an older actor, he's passed on now, but I had scenes with him where I would talk to him. Other than that, generally I was in a group, so it was just random things. You just catch scenes. So it didn't really matter that we weren't talking. There was nothing really to talk about. I was just in these scenes, and I was a member of the cops. But in the scenes with this elder actor, I can't remember, he's pretty famous, and if you watch the movie, you see it. You know, there are rules to shooting a movie, and one of them is if you're talking to another actor, you have to match shots. So now, in this, do you have the two screens up like I do?
Yeah. Yep.
Right? Okay. Well, our shots are not matched. They're not matched. Your head, the camera is further away from you than from me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, in a real movie, no, your head has to be as big as mine. We have to match shots. So I cut to you, you're talking, then you cut to me, I'm talking, cut back and forth. The shots match. Well, he said to me when he was confessing this, you know, I thought you were on acid at this shoot. He said, if you watch the movie, we were just about to watch the movie. He said, a lot of your shots with this actor don't match because and sometimes you not even, he'll talk and you're in the master shot, and then he talks close up and you're in the master shot, which is never done in movies. They just, it doesn't work for the audience. It's not, it's just a storytelling thing. And he says, so don't worry about that. See, I thought you were on acid, and I thought that your scenes would really never be in the movie much because you were out. So I never shot your side of his discussion, thinking you were not a major character, you were on acid, and I didn't want to get the camera too close to you because you may freak in the middle of. So if you watch the movie, it's true. So he said. Here's the thing. He's telling me all this. He said, "Well," I said, "Well, why is that? Why didn't you shoot me? And then if you didn't shoot me because you thought I was on acid, then why don't you just keep him in the master shot? So just shoot it in the master shot. But that's wrenching when you don't." So he said, "Well, we did a screening before this crew screening, the final edit. We just took somewhere and we just showed it to an audience to see their reaction. And we gave them cards and they said, 'Who is your favorite character in this movie?' And it was Kokolovich. It was my character." So the producers went to the director and he said, "Look, man, I don't know what the hell you're doing with the editing, He said, "But you find all the close-ups or anything with Hankin in it, and you put it back in the movie," because he was cutting me out of the movie because of the essence. Yeah. And he said, you go through, you search through the bins. He even used that word. He said, "You search through the bins and you get all of Hankin's stuff and put whatever you can back in." So there's a lot of shots where this is random of me, and it doesn't. So I mean, the director really wasn't there,
Yeah.
So that's kind of the screw up of and not knowing what's going on between either. And then the producers and then the audience came through for me. Yeah. That's awesome. About I stand out for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe
you're naturally funny. You're naturally funny. It just it flows.
Okay, I'll go along with that, but I can't. I don't follow me. So I don't.
Yeah.
When I watch me, and I'm beginning to stop doing it because the payoff isn't worth it. Is I would watch myself and then I would just see all my mistakes. I wouldn't see that I'm funny. I'm funny. But why did I do that? See, no. So that's why a lot of major stars don't watch their movies. They go, why don't you watch your movie? It's a learning thing. That's what I thought. No, because all you do is you just watch your mistakes and it just brings you down. I could have done it better. So it doesn't really pay off. But back then I used to, watch, and so it was really funny. And another famous director, unless I know ahead of time the name of the but anyway, Hey Landlord. I was doing Hey Landlord, which is a black and white. So when I was young, first sitcom I was in, one of the first sitcoms. And there was the guy who who directed Laverne and Shirley. He directed.
It was. I can't think of his name, but
but he was directing Hey Landlord. Mm-hmm. And again, I was hired as a Hell's Angel. So I was dressed in Hell's Angels stuff, and I'm 6'4". So it worked for the character. So we stood up, and the director's there, and he's talking to us. So basically, Hey Landlord the premise was the star was the landlord, and so each show there would be like the new people moving in or out. So that was the flow. There was the landlord was always there, the house was always there, and then he'd have renters coming in and out. Some stayed for 2 or 3 weeks. So I was one of the renters, and there was me and 3 other guys who were renting, So the director would always talk to the other 2 guys. We weren't the same company. We're each renting a different room. So we're
Mhm.
separate. He would talk to them, he would talk to me, and then he would walk away. And I was getting insulted, I was
Yeah.
new. I don't keep my mouth shut. I say, I speak my mind. I don't
Mhm.
care.
Yeah.
When I'm on the set, I'm respectful to you if I'm auditioning for you, or if it's a talking audition. We're not auditioning, we're just talking. I'm very respectful. But on the set, on the floor, as they call it, when you're shooting it on the floor, no, we're
Mhm.
all in this together. I do it with Clint Eastwood, I'll do it with you. You're just another actor and we're equal. Okay.
Mhm.
So if you give me shit and you're a director, I'll give you shit right back. We're
Well,
on the
yeah.
floor, man. You know,
Mhm.
off the floor, you get your respect. But here,
Mhm.
okay, so he wouldn't talk to me, and I was getting more and more upset about it. But back then it was like my first or second job, so I held my tongue. But boy, I wanted to just get into. Again, I meet him at a party, so we shoot the thing, and I did not this guy, but I would see him a lot, and he really liked me as an actor.
Yeah.
Frame, he liked what I did on screen, but he thought I was a Hell's Angel. And I talked to him at a party and I said, why didn't you talk to me? You were giving everybody else directions. And he said, look, man, Larry. I mean, because he was friendly now. He
Yeah.
said, look, Larry, I didn't know who you were. You just showed up and you were playing Hell's Angel. And I thought they sent in a Hell's Angel. And I wasn't going to give you any direction at all because you might punch me. So I stayed far away from you as I could. I mean, he confessed this to me at a party. I heard it a year later, when I finally got my mouth back and I could just talk to him.
Yeah.
Why didn't you direct me? And the same thing with Larry David. For different reasons. I mean, but he wouldn't direct me either. But that's because I didn't need any direction. I was doing the right
Yeah, of
thing.
course.
Woody Allen does the same. A lot of, the great directors do not direct. That's nobody knows that. But I've worked with a couple of great directors. Did you know that? They don't
Yeah, I
direct.
knew that. Steven told me. Well, I mean, Steven's told me a little bit about Steven Joyner. He told me a little bit about you.
Oh, well, yeah, but the great directors don't. In other words, John Huston said that, because I work with John Huston.
Mhm.
He said that if you got your crap together as a director, you will know this, that 80% of directing is casting. He said, if you cast the right director, leave him alone. Just let him do his thing. Because you judge that this guy knows what he's doing. You cast him. You chose this guy to play this character for you in this movie. So you got to make up your mind then. If you're directing the actor on the set, I mean, you're way behind the curve, man. You're way behind. Now, the only guy I know who doesn't listen to that is Steven Spielberg. So I heard Liam Neeson really ranting about not wanting to be in another Spielberg movie, or he was talking to another actor about Spielberg, and it was recorded, so they played it. And what he was saying was, "Look, I don't want, what do you think?" He was saying to another actor. There were two stars in the Spielberg movie. I don't know what that one is, but he was talking to the other star, and he says, "Does he direct you?" And he goes, "Well, yeah." Yeah, kind of. I don't know. What are you talking about? He said, "Well, he keeps directing me. Oh, what do you mean? He's a director. What are you talking about?" And Liam goes, "No, I mean, he tells me, say it like this. No, I don't want any director telling me to say it like this. I'm an actor. I'm a professional." This is Liam Neeson going on to another actor about Spielberg. And he's telling me how to say my words, man. He's saying, and hold your head like this, And I'm like, what the fuck is that, man? I'm ready to walk. And he said, no, don't. And the other actor said, no, don't walk, man. No, he's really great. He knows what he's doing. I mean, he's just different, but just listen to him. I mean, he tells me the same thing. I just do it. Just do it. I'm telling you, it'll pay off. You'll look okay. He knows what he's doing. And it's really funny to hear two actors talking about,
Yeah.
leave him alone. About the
That's funny.
director directing. I don't like this director directing. What the hell is he doing? Steven Spielberg, shut up. I do the same thing, but I do it to the director. I just opening my mouth, and because now I never knew it, and I didn't have it in mind. I would say, no, I don't want to do this, or blah blah blah. But generally, and I found this out, that I would do that. I would finally, break and open up when I had already shot a couple of scenes.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden, and everything is going fine. And then all of a sudden I go, no, I'm not going to do this. Why not? Because it's not my character. Blah, 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 blah. And they can't fire me because, and I didn't realize this, but they can't fire me because I haven't been shot out yet. In other words, if they fire me, they not only have to replace me, they have to go back and shoot all my other scenes that I've shot already. That's
wow.
a lot of, right?
Yeah, that's insane.
Change your character in the middle. You got to go back and shoot all your scenes, and you got to get all those actors, and you got to get to go. So it's too expensive. Now I didn't know that, but I was totally protected. So
that's awesome.
I didn't know. Yeah, there's a lot of things I found out, little actor things that I know. Like for instance, if your costume isn't in your dressing room when you show up your first day, say, well, where's my dressing room? There. You go into your dressing room, you open the closet. If your costume is in your dressing room, that's it. That's what you wear for however long you're going to be here and in that costume. You can't. But if your costume isn't in your dressing room, you have a shot at choosing your costume because they haven't finished choosing. And if you go into the costume, and I've done this on several movies where the costume wasn't in the dressing room, I would go. So where's the costume department? It's over there. Yeah. Hey, I'm Larry. I'm the dog catcher, John Huston. I'm Larry. My costume is. I just want to look and see what they're choosing. Okay, yeah, it's over there, and they have it on a pipe rack. They have all. Like the dog catcher's costumes. They have generally 10. If you're a star, there's about 20 or 30 costumes, and you can go through it, and you can just call the costumer and say, hey, I like this one. And it's on my rack here. Can I wear this, with this? And they go, oh, yeah, because it's all been chosen already for you. So I was doing that, and I was choosing my costume, and this guy is next to me, and he goes, who are you? And I go, oh, I'm an actor. I'm the, the dog catcher. So I'm just looking at my costumes. I want to see which ones I want to wear. Because I've already, and this is like an assistant. You shouldn't be here, and I've already chosen your costume. And he gives me this 15-inch square, 2.5 to 3 inches thick. It looked like just a piece of solid cardboard, about 3 inches high, about that high, 15 inches square. It looked like a box, but it was cloth. And it was a costume. It was, the mechanics costumes that, those blue coveralls.
Yes.
Well, it was a gray, it was a brown one, that dog catchers, but it was a coveralls. It was like a mechanics thing. But it was the color of cardboard. But it was washed, starched, and ironed into that looked like a box, but it was no. It was and he hands it to me, like a tray. He goes, this is yours. Put this on and get out of here. You shouldn't be here. And I just looked at it and I go, I'm not wearing this, man. And he goes, why not? I go, because it's clean. It starts. Or pulling it up.
Yeah.
And I go, no, it starts. It's clean. It should be filthy. I'm not wearing this. What do you mean? It's clean. You're wearing that. No, it isn't. I'm a dog catcher. It's 1937. This is an Annie movie, I'm catching dogs all day. That's got to be filthy, man. I'm not putting this on. And he goes, well, if you're not putting this on, we're going to Mr. Houston. I go, yeah, okay, fine. Let's go to Mr. Houston. I'm ready. And one is I was righteous. I mean, there's being right and there's being righteous.
Yeah.
go from right to righteous, like boop, that's the curve. Boop. And so I go, yeah, okay, fine, let's do this, man. And he goes, okay, fine. He's carrying it like a tray on his hand. And we go, and John Huston is out there. He's looking. And it rained the night before, but it's sunny now. But there's there's big puddles too. But there's a place you can walk where it's dry. And he's outdoor, and he's got his little TV village, and he's looking. He looks like this. He's watching his rushes. And he sees us coming, and he says to George is his assistant with costume, and he right away susses the situation. He says, "Okay, George, what's going on now?" You know, like John Huston. I found out that he didn't even want to be there, John Huston, because this is a guy who's directed the Treasure of Sierra Madre. It's probably the filthiest, dirtiest movie ever directed by anybody. and so he didn't like what was going on, because now this is a musical and everything had to be bright and shiny. So all right, George, what's going on now? So George marches up and he goes, and I'm not with him. I'm going, yeah, let's do this. And he goes, this actor will not put this costume on. And John Huston turns to me and he goes, is that right, Larry? I go, yeah. Why is that, Larry? Well, because it's got to be filthy. It's not dirty. I'm a dog catcher. This is 1937. I'm catching dogs all day. And this thing is starch. Look at it. It's starch. I'm just going. And he's listening to me. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, and then I finally end, yes, I'm not putting it on. I'm not putting it on. And he goes, George, give me the costume. George hands him this cardboard box. And he goes, John Huston gets up out of his director's chair and he starts walking away from us. And the first thing I noticed for some strange reason is he's got these really expensive Italian leather loafers on. I mean, they're probably $100 a piece, probably $200 right there. And he walks over to the biggest puddle he can on grass. So he walks in the middle of the puddle with his side. Walks into the middle of the puddle. He takes it all apart, this costume. He shakes it out, throws it in the puddle, and he walks on it. He stamps on it. So the whole thing in grass and dirt. And he bends over and he picks it up with his two little fingers, holds it away so it doesn't drip on his clothes. Then he walks over to George and he goes, George, I want you to take this. I want you to dry this off and put this on this actor, okay? Thank you, George. Thank you, Larry. And he goes back to his wishes. That's a director. See, that's great.
Good.
That's what you want. Guy
that's
knows
exactly
what he wants.
That's right.
and also he understands who's in his best interest. George?
Oh, yeah.
Me, or the dog catcher, not me. The dog catcher is more important than George is.
Yeah.
That's
perfect.
By the way, excuse me, but by the way, I'm telling you, he didn't want to be there, John Huston, because he directed Treasure and also Moby Dick. He directed,
Yeah.
So I mean, not only was he drugged with the fact that everything had to be shiny and sparkly and colorful and up, but I was probably the only guy that wanted dirt in the movie besides him. And in other words, me saying, no, it's got to be filthy was like a breath of fresh air to him. So that's why he really stuck up for me. Now, that's my conjecture, but I've heard stories about it. He just didn't want to be there because
I hear you.
Cleanliness shit that was going on. And here comes this actor who won't put a costume on because it's too clean. Oh, thank God. Yeah, let's do this. Yeah. So, it's show business is my life.
Oh, yeah, man. And I noticed that I actually watched something recently. Actually, let me read another one, and then we'll get into some more stuff, okay?
Oh, go for it.
It says, I saw a kid eating some ice cream, and a bird flying above him shit on his shirt. Apparently, he thought it was the ice cream and wiped his finger on it and stuck it in his mouth.
Well, I don't know. The only thing I can think of is eating the wrong thing for the right reason or the wrong reason. Well, human being. Well, here's the other thing. Have you ever seen the show called Ridiculousness on TT?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I watch it because, again, this human beings are probably the most stupid mammals going, because we have this, consciousness, and that gets in the way. If you throw a frisbee, a dog will just catch it. He doesn't think about, what is going on. He just, because he has no consciousness. I mean, no self-awareness. I'm sorry. Self-awareness. He has no self-awareness. He doesn't care if he looks stupid or happy or intelligent. He just goes on instinct, and he catches that frisbee just because he knows timing. He doesn't think about it. But human beings don't, and they'll go, and we'll all laugh at that or think it's pretty stupid. Now, to me, I go, that's human stuff. That's what humans do.
Yeah.
Dogs will eat shit. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no laughing. There's no stupidity connected to it. It's just what they do. They smell it, and I don't know why, and they don't know why either. And it's fine with them. And it's even fine with us that the dogs do that. But when a human being does that, even if it's by mistake, and it's a child who doesn't know it, we'll either tell that story forever because it's weird, or we'll laugh at the kid until he, his brain folds and he's damaged for the rest of his life. I just don't understand humans' reactions to humans' reactions. Frankly.
I totally agree. I mean,
it's just off the wall, man. And I've watched enough ridiculousness to now not judge any stupidity. Like, you can either wipe bird shit off your shoulder and eat it, or vote for the wrong guy. It's the same intelligence.
That's a whole nother topic right there.
That's why I didn't mention any names.
Yeah. Something I do that my wife gives me a hard time about. I fall up the stairs. I fall. No. I fall walking up the stairs all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. And she cracks up about it.
Well, yeah. Okay. But, if it was your friends, not your wife, then it would be on you for like 3 months about it. But because she has to live with you and she's there with you all the time, she's got sense enough to just back off, man. You got to live with this guy.
She doesn't have to, but she does.
Well, I mean, she's smart. Okay, of course she doesn't have to. And probably every once in a while she doesn't. You got to, every once in a while, just keep the narrative straight.
Yeah. You did I saw something on YouTube. You basically were you were talking about homelessness, and you're just walking the streets, and it was a very serious topic, but the naturalness, it was just so funny. I don't know why, but it was really funny.
Because I wanted it to be funny, and I knew it was serious. No, that's where my heart is. I do those. Those are my films. That's that guy's. Well, it's Emmett or Elmore. That's what I call the character. Emmett is a homeless guy, and I've done about 3 of them so far. It costs a lot of money to make those little films. You got to go out and work for it to get the money to save up to go out and. But that's what I do, and then I make these paintings. See that? That's my painting right there.
Yeah, I see a couple of them back there.
Wait a minute. This is reversed. I never can get used to this. Now, there. That
damn technology.
I make T-shirts also. You got to go this way and this way. And, forget it. I make those films. I make these T-shirts. I'll do an ad right now. TheRealLarryHankin.com. That's my website.
Yeah.
and all those T-shirts and everything around there. But yeah, well, I'm an observer. You know, I started out as a stand-up comedian. Then I became an improviser. Went through Second City. I started the committee with other guys and girls.
Big actors.
Yeah, and then I went to Hollywood and I became an actor. But really, what I am, I'm going to go back to doing my stand-up. But I'm really not a stand-up comedian. What I am is a stand-up. What am I? What I forgot. I gave myself a name. Oh, right. A social. What is it when somebody does research into, like Cro-Magnon man and bones and stuff? And not a zoologist, a somethingologist.
What is it? Isn't Ross one from Friends?
I don't know. I'm on Friends. I miss your watch the show at all.
No, I can't think of what it's called though. Like what?
Right, but I'm a stand-up social biologist, social zoologist. What you study the history of man, that ology. That's what I am. A social.
Is it home something or another?
I don't know. It's like it's close to zoology, but that's a much larger thing. But I'm a stand-up social commentator. It's the closest I can come to it. Yeah, in other words, I just observe what human beings do, and it's just ridiculous. Two of my favorite books. What the hell?
That's what I'm wondering.
It's a drunk cop.
How's that for natural humor?
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know. I don't know what the hell I was talking about. But anyway,
you're talking about studying people and the history of them.
Studying people and human Homo sapiens. Well, first of all, we're not going to survive the next 500-600 years. It's over.
Yeah.
And that's the stupidity of. Let me just lay this on you about. Okay. This is what I study. Okay. Any other animal, they'll do one of three things to survive. They'll either fight to survive, a flight or fight. That's the one thing. They'll either fight or run away. That's pretty intelligent for an animal. Or they'll seek food. You gotta find food. Shelter, they can last a little longer, but food, not so much. Water, you gotta get that right away. And all animals know what to do. And as far as territory goes, if the food supply stops, then they have less kids. They're less offspring. Maybe the offspring just die off. But the numbers shrink to fit the area that they hunt in, their territory, or the food supply that they have, and that judges their population. Human beings and all insects and all invertebrates and fish and vertebrates, they all have that. Less children or more territory. And fight or flight. And that's instinct. They're not self-aware. They don't know about it. They just do it.
Yeah.
Humans don't have that. We've lost that. We will multiply until the food supply runs out, COVID takes over everything, and we have this thing about forever, eternal, infinite. That's what we grew up on.
Yeah.
In other words, our territory is infinite in every directions, and it's everlasting forever.
Yeah.
And that's what we grew up on from Cro-Magnon. Because if you pointed to any Cro-Magnon man, by the way, if you go back 8,000 years, let's go 9,000 years. 9,000 years ago, we had the same brain we have now. Yeah. But no civilizations. No civilizations. lived in cages and sort of shelters and stuff like that. Same brain. Okay. You ask one of those guys, one of those 9,000-year-old guys, you say, hey, if you walk that way, that way, I'll point this way. If you walk that way forever, where will you keep going, or where will you end up? I don't know. You're just walking forever.
No, it's flat, man. We'll eventually just drop off, right? It's flat Earth.
Right. Well, you drop off. So there's two answers. You're very smart. There's two answers. Either drop off or you just keep going forever. Okay. And what about the food supply? Much as I want. And if it runs out here, I'll just go over there. Okay. Now you ask anybody today, if you go that way and keep on walking, where will you end up? Well, you'll end up coming from that way. Right?
Right.
Okay. We're still thinking you walk that way and you keep walking forever, or you drop off. That's where we're at. We just think we have as much aluminum as we want, as much plastic as we want, as much food as we want, as much health as we want, as much land as we want. No, man. What we are is an apple floating in space, and we are the gray fungus that finally consumes it until it's a black core. That's what we're doing, man. But we don't think that way. We're stupid. We will not last. We've been here for what? We've been in a human form for about 250,000 years.
Yeah.
We are the youngest mammalian on this planet. All other organisms on this planet are older than us by millions of years, man.
And still running.
No, but we're not going to make it.
No, we're not. No, I'm talking about the other animals.
There's been other vertebrates, other mammals that have come and gone. We don't think about extinction. Mm-hmm. But do you know how many mammals, vertebrates have been extinct since we've been here? They came and they went. There's some came and went for about 2 or 3 million years before they became extinct. We've been here 250,000 years. It's like nothing.
That's nothing.
So we're pretty stupid. We got I think worms have more brain power than we do. I don't know.
It amazes me how many people they say they don't look for direction, but they all do. They'll watch the news or they'll watch the social media and they'll be, oh, okay, and then they just go with it.
Yeah. I mean, but they don't use their sense. Now that we've lost all our natural instincts, we've lost all our natural instincts. The COVID has put us into a house now. I'm just reading a thing on internet before we went on the air here. Mm-hmm. On the internet, this is just general public information. It's saying the people who think about exercise, health, moving, physical movement, and health. They're worried now that because of COVID, they've pointed out that we as a species, and they're talking about species now, are becoming, we're starting to atrophy because we sit all day. We don't move as much as our body is designed to move. Our body is designed to hunt big animals.
Yeah.
Alpha hunters, elephants, mastodons, tigers, bears, whales, orcas, fish. I mean, we're hunters. We're hunters. And now we are put into our houses and wear masks and sit and type at our internet. That is so anti-species. You have no fucking idea. I mean, that's like a tiger typing. What are you doing, tiger?
We're being watched in a zoo, basically. We're in cages.
Yeah. So, I mean, but, and I'm trying my best to make that funny and still a
It's
teachable moment.
the sad. I think the sadness to the reality of it makes it funny, and not that it should be.
Funny because it's stupid. What we're laughing at is the stupidity of the brain to the situation.
Yes.
You slip on a banana, boom, whoa, you didn't see it. But if I slip on a banana, hey man, that hurt. It's me, and then there's the rest of the stupidity. I'm not stupid. You are.
That's like when somebody comes, and I've managed and supervised a lot of places, and somebody comes up and they complain about how everybody else talks about them or does something. And it's like, so do you think everybody else is wrong, or are you wrong? Depending on the situation, it can go either way.
Basically, bottom line, they're all wrong and I'm all wrong. I'm a human being. So when I'm saying them, there's certain, the only hint I got at this whole thing is I'm learning the guitar. Okay.
Oh, wow. What about the oboe?
No, that's another scale. That's a higher scale. Higher learning capacity. I'm not up to that yet. But one of the things I discovered is I do have another self that I have no idea that's on all the time, even when I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
And the hint came, and it's in the fingers. And if you ever learn to play the guitar and then finally did learn the guitar, then you know what I'm talking about. And that is, I'm playing the guitar and I'm trying to learn the fingering, where to put the fingers for an A chord. Well, I have to, place my fingers. It's very conscious. It's these three, the strings, and you put your fingers there and you got it over there. Okay, fine. That's all conscious, all thought out, watching, putting there. Okay. But I started to notice that when I finally got that, I had to start learning with the pick and the strumming and the rhythm and moving those three fingers to the rhythm. So I go from the E to the E. And I found out that moving and putting my fingers there, I don't have to pay attention to those at all. After you learn the guitar, you're not even thinking about those fingers. If you start to think about those fingers, you couldn't play the guitar. And these people who play the guitars even faster. So what's going on there? That's your subconscious, your unconscious, your id, your whatever it is. It's the other Larry. It's the Larry that's instinctive. I can play songs now, and I don't have to watch my fingers. I don't have to watch my strumming. I can think about remembering the lyrics. But as far as these fingers go, I pay no attention to them whatsoever, and they hit all the right keys, all the right chords, and everything. That is what animals go on all the time. So we still have it, but we don't use it anymore because we have to think about click on which one is free. What.
Oh, man.
So we lost that. We're starting to lose it by being in cages in a zoo, and basically we're zooizing ourselves.
That's perfect.
That's where my head is at, and I don't understand Homo sapiens. So the only two books I've ever read is Don Quixote, and there was another old book that I read where Don Quixote is fighting against that. He's goats and he thinks it's an army. He's trying to learn. He's trying to live instinctively on defending the right and instinctively defending freedom. And his instincts are all wrong. He's attacking stations, he's attacking cows, he's attacking just wrong things that he thinks he's freeing prisoners because of liberty. And he unlocks their chains because you are free now. And what do? They beat him up and rob him. That's Don Quixote. That's in the book.
Yeah.
So Cervantes was hip to what I'm talking about. This is old stuff. But nobody listens.
Well, I mean, everything's internet now. I mean, it's in your pocket. You don't need to learn things because it's in your pocket.
You try to leave your internet digital machine out of your pocket at home, and you'll freak out.
Oh, it's crazy.
You try to be without any kind of digital thing, and you think you're fucked, man. You are bereft. You don't know what to do. Who will I call? I can't call him. I can't get messages. Nobody knows where I am. What if I'm kidnapped? I can't. I mean, it's just bizarre, man. And I've
It
gone
is.
through myself where I've
Yeah.
forgotten my phone, and I go crazy. Well, what the fuck will I do? I mean, what if somebody tries to call me? What do I can't. This guy, I know what I'll do. I'll pull the car over and I'll run and I'll ask somebody if I can use their phone.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Nowadays, when I grew up, I'm the last of my breed, by the
what.
way. When I
So, by the way,
die,
hey,
this
real quick,
discussion will be over.
how when were you born? Because I've seen like 37, 40, all over the internet.
Nobody knows how old I am. I've always told the wrong thing, and it's all of them. Here's the upside. The downside is if you knew how old I was, I could never get a job because Hollywood. Well, I've gotten out of that. I don't do it anymore. But Hollywood, if you have gray hair, man, and you are not a big bankable star, forget Hollywood.
Just shave your hair off.
Well, then you're bald. It's the same thing. I mean, your face. If you got wrinkles, if you're old, I mean, forget it. You can't get a job in Hollywood as a writer. Forget it. If they see you, you can't get a job. You just can't. By the way you look, your age. So I tell everybody. So here's the upside of lying about my age. Every randomly couple of weeks or months, I just get a happy birthday from somebody.
That's perfect.
Great. Happy birthday in June, in July, in December, January. Hey, happy birthday! I hear you have a birthday. Thank you, man.
well, happy birthday then.
Thank you. But I'm really old. I'm very old. I'm older than how I look. So that I'll give you. Okay.
You don't look a day past Mr. Heckles.
A homeless guy came up to me the other day. I go to this place and I just sit and I talk to the friends. So, and I live in Venice, California, which is homeless central. There's people living on the streets in tents all over. And when I go on the bike path, there's 2 miles of tents on the beach. Along the bike path. 2 miles. Tent to tent. It's not like there's a space in between. There's like a tent to tent. The police have to make a break so you can get through to go to the beach. 2 miles. So so I'm the last of my breed. You will not hear anything about the species being stupid because everybody will be either homeless and in a tent but a homeless guy came up to me. I'm sitting outside and people come in. Oh, hey, there's Mr. Heckles. How you doing? Will you sign this autograph? Cool. And this homeless guy comes up to me. He says, I know who you are. I'll bet you do. Yeah, you're Mr. Heckles. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. I saw you here about 3 years ago. Oh, that's really great. Yeah. You look younger now than you did 3 years ago. Very much. I get free advice, whoever comes by. So what I'm saying to you is I don't know how I look, but I look younger than I did 3 years ago, according to a valid passerby.
Yeah, you still look like Larry Balzac. You still look like Mr. Heckles.
Yeah. So I want to go back to doing stand-up, though. I think,
Yeah. Is there a lot of comedy, improv, stand-up places out there where you're at?
Say that again?
Is there a lot of like stand-up, open mic or stand-up places out there where you're at, like comedy venues?
You were looking at live?
In other words, my stand-up is actually on Patreon. They're gonna.
Oh, yeah.
Next week. What I did was, all these rants that I did while I'm talking to you. I never did this. We're just talking.
Yeah.
But I have stories about, well, like the John Huston story. That really happened, and I talked about that. But I have 8 hours of I did a Zoom podcast of just me, and there was an interviewer who I told ask me these questions, and because they were the lead in to my rants about making movies. So I have 8 hours of my rantings about making movies with John Huston, with Larry David, with all 185
films,
projects, films, and TV shows that I did in Hollywood over the years. So they're putting them up on Patreon. So I already recorded them. So there's 8 hours of them. So they're breaking them down into pods of half hours, and they're going to put them up on Patreon. So look for that. That'll be out. I guess they're going live in about a week. Check out Patreon. It's really cool.
Will do.
My stand-up. And then I've taken those 8 hours, and they're being transcribed into a book. So the book is going to come out, and I don't know the name of it. I think it's going to be, well, I can't tell you. It's really cool.
Yeah, you're good. You don't need to tell me yet.
Yeah, but so the 8 hours are going to be on Patreon as a recording. You can watch me talk about this stuff, and they're all funny. Yeah. And then the book you can buy on Kindle, and that'll be a couple of months.
That is one thing that I've noticed that COVID has done is really spiked the podcasting, Patreon, and stuff.
Yes, and that's really good for me. If you're sequestered or you don't get around, or I don't want to work for Hollywood, but I do want to make films, and I really do miss going to the movies. So yes, but digital, I think, is the downfall of Homo sapiens.
I agree.
It locked us 100%. Into watching the internet. We don't go out, and then with COVID and pandemics, it's locking us into Zoom even more. So I think digital and the internet was the worst thing that ever happened to our species, and that's a serious thing. And I don't know how to make that funny, but that's what I believe.
It's so true. I mean, it's sad that it's so true. I mean, like I still go out. I still go out to the park. I still, a big hobby of mine is disc golfing. I love to go disc golfing.
What?
It's called disc golfing. Have you ever heard of disc golf? It's basically it's similar to golf, but instead of feet, instead of yards, you're throwing feet, but you're using a disc. It's like a frisbee, and then you're throwing it into a cage. And it's like an 18
into the cage, and then what?
Yeah, it's like an 18-hole golf course, but the idea is to get the disc into the cage in so many throws.
There's 18 different cages with different challenges.
Yeah. Yep.
And you can go into the sand, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, they're all over the place. I mean, just in Kansas City, there's like 86 courses. They're all free. It's just walking, being out in the open.
Wow, that's great. See, that's okay. That's pro species, but I haven't heard too many, so that's gives me a little glimmer, but I don't know how fast. What digital is good for is getting rockets to the moon. So when we run out of aluminum here, we can then eviscerate the moon until that. But
I don't know if
spaceship travel. We've got what 4-5 billion people on this planet, and we can get 5 people into a rocket. Well, what are we talking about, man? What is this? You're going to put 5 or 6 people in a rocket, and that's going to save humanity, right?
Yeah. I mean, come on, Matt Damon lived. Matt Damon played a role where he lived off potatoes on the moon.
On the moon, exactly. One guy. What about the rest of us, asshole? Okay.
All right. Hey, I do have one more, and we'll talk for a little bit, and then we'll wrap it up.
Fine.
All right, so this one's really short. It was on Twitter. It says, just bumped into a mannequin and said, sorry, then said, oh, I thought you were a person.
You know, a lot of them speak for themselves.
Oh, I
Like,
know.
the explanation, right? But
Uh,
okay, that makes all right. I rest my case, Judge. Thank you very much. Good night.
Oh.
Rest my case. Come on, man. You're apologizing to something for being not real.
that's that's the basis of this show. I mean, it really is.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you're the only thing pro species that I've run across in a long time, and you're admitting the downfall of our species.
It's
Right
yeah.
on.
I'm trying to find humor in the downfall. Let's put it that way.
Humor and the stupidity. Well, that's what do you call it? You know, ridiculousness is based on, and they always cut. But here's the tragedy, because of TV practices, rules and practices.
Mm-hmm.
When the guy falls, I saw this the other day. For anybody who hasn't seen it, it's just a lot of stupid acts. Guys jumping off of a pier. Doing bike jump, or no, skateboarding onto an iron railing going downstairs, and then you fall off and fall on your face.
Yeah.
And that's funny. Okay, but so they had a lot of stupid people acts, pretty much. That's what stupid dog acts. Remember from David Letterman. It's just stupid, ridiculous. This is stupid people acts on film. Okay, so one of them was they were showing how stupid a group of guys are with a girl. They had a little floating thing off a pier. There was only it was submerged about a foot and a half under the water, so you could step on it, and you would only sink about a foot and a half. Then you were standing on something, but there was sharks around. So because of a foot and a half, a shark could go across it. That's enough water for a shark to go through.
Yeah.
So they told the girl, they said, well, the sharks don't bite. So you can stand on it and the sharks will go right by. Now, maybe right before they had this girl stand on it, they had another guy stand on it. Because it's three guys and they're letting a girl down onto it. And he stood there and sharks would just swim by, right over this thing. Nothing. So they said, oh, you try it. So then they're filming it. So she gets on, one shark goes right by. And then another shark goes on and goes, right onto her leg. And then she screams, they cut. And the reason they cut is TV practices. You can't show blood. And this show is based on people in accidents, but they can't show death or any blood or any actual break. You have to cut before the accident shows. You can show the accident happening, but you can't show it. Well, one of the guys who was on the show said, no, don't cut it there. And the guy said, we had to cut it there. We can't show. And then he turns to the camera and said, no, she didn't bleed. There was nothing happening. Saying that. But that's the thing that's wrong with it, because they always cut, and then they have an audience watching, and the audience laughs every time a guy falls on a railing and cracks his back, and just as he goes, just as you see, they cut, and that they shouldn't cut away, because that's where the species is going. This is species television.
That whole perception is
stupid things and killing themselves or having a shark bite them. The stupidity show is what it is, and they cut so to make it television worthy. But to me, this is what your show is about, and this is what I'm trying to tell people.
Yeah.
You're about to go extinct, people.
Perfect.
What ridiculousness. They're killing themselves on television, and it's funny.
That's so true.
Watch Dylan's show.
Yeah.
What
do you think? Do you like the name? It's a little play. Good play on words, at least.
I don't know. You're one of the few people who like at least pretends that he understands what I'm yelling about.
Hey, man.
Because other people just walk the other way when I talk about it. Whoa,
I'll see you later.
Whoa.
I'll see you later. Okay.
Yeah, right. No, I mean, I'm getting out just in time.
Yeah.
Whenever I get out, yeah, okay. Here's an example I had are we running out of time? Can I just tell this one story?
Yeah, go ahead, and then we'll wrap it up. Go ahead.
No, this really happened, and this was before I became a critical thinker. When I was just an ordinary, stupid Homo sapien in Greenwich Village doing stand-up comedy. So we're in Greenwich Village, and it was. This is about the time of the Cuban Missile Crisis, very important, and the atomic bomb clock. When it was all going to go, was 5 minutes to midnight. And, it started like at 1:45. And as the missile crisis started, the clock was going. And at midnight meant that war and somebody was going to shoot off an atomic bomb. So we're like, I don't know, 3 minutes, 2 minutes to 12. And then Kennedy said, no, Kennedy put the blockade up on Cuba. And the Russians couldn't send any more missiles into Cuba. And we're 1 minute away. And that was when everybody thought that the bomb was going to go off.
Yeah.
And I was in Greenwich Village. And all of a sudden, now Greenwich Village at the time, kind of like it is now. In Greenwich Village, there was junkies on the street just begging for an angry fix. And they were all over the place. And they were begging for, hey, man, I need to get a fix. I mean, they weren't even pretending it was for food, But all of a sudden, right around 1 minute to midnight, all the junkies in Greenwich, and we knew them because they'd always have their own spots. These were like 15 or 20 junkies that always, hey, man, gone. They were all of them gone. I mean, at the same time. Very slowly, bump, 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 day by day, and about the third day of 1 minute, they were all gone. And then, and then it passed. And something happened, and it went back to 5 minutes, and then 6 minutes. Whatever Kennedy took whatever happened, it was over. Mm-hmm. Whew, we got through it, and still no junk. That was within a week's time. And then, very slowly, a week and a half, week and 2 days. They start to come back, and they were all, just not the same. They weren't the same. They were wasted or tired, or some of them were even cleaned up. So I started to ask around, and we all did, because we were just, us who weren't in that condition, we're curious. They were a fixture. So when they were missing, there was an emptiness that we felt. So I asked one of the junkies that I knew, and I said, do you know what was going on? He said, oh, yeah, man. Well, we thought the bomb was going to go off, So we thought, what would be a great way to go out? Because we were all going to die. So what we did was, and we all met, and we said, let's go up onto, I think it was the Mills Hotel, which was all where they stayed for $250 a night. I stayed there for 2 nights. You leave your room. Here's the instruction. You get $250, you get a ticket, a key, you pay $250, and it's all caged. It's really just junkies and homeless people and just dire. You get it, and they give you instructions. You have to leave your room for a half hour at 7 a.m. or 9 a.m. Which do you want? And they would write it down. Why? It's for cleaning purposes. And what you got, the room that you had was maybe as far as my arms can stretch. My arms can stretch about 6 feet. So that was how wide the room was. Then there was a door, and it went back to one window. There was a cot, a blanket, and a mattress. That was $250. That's what you paid for. You had to get out. You could, he said, well, where do I go, man, for a half hour? And you could just stand in the hall. It's just somebody will go in and check your room. And then they will come out, because some people throw up in there, it's junkies.
Yeah.
So I understood that. Fine, whatever. So I picked, a lot of people pick 9 because then they can just go out and not come back. They're up, out, and then they come back later at the night. I picked 7 a.m. because I didn't know, I didn't understand. I figured I'd get up, I'd wait, and I'd go back to sleep for the rest of the day. I was too poor. So when I got up at 7 a.m., a guy comes in and he opens the door and he said, get up. And I got up and I go, he goes in. He just walked in and he walked out. And I go, whoa, what was that? I thought, what was that all about? He said, well, there's no body in there. I said, what do you mean there's no body in there? He said, people die in these rooms all the time. These are junkies. You have to get out at 7 a.m. or 9 a.m. so we can clean out the dead bodies. It's not about cleaning the room or throwing up. It's about getting the dead bodies out.
What?
How, man? And that's just accepted. Downstairs, you got to get out of your room at 7 or 9. I mean, that's... And it doesn't work.
And the guy that just walked in there and walked out, too, like it was nothing.
So there's no body. That's what he's looking for, a dead body. Yeah. So if you were sleeping and he walked in, he'd wake you up. If you woke up, he would just walk out again. Okay, so that's what's going on. So I'm talking to this junkie, and I said, well, where did you all go? And he said, what we all did was, since we didn't want to spend $250 if we're not going to be alive the next day, and we don't want to buy any more drugs than we needed because we're going to die, on that particular day that we thought it was going to happen, we all went up onto the same roof. It was maybe the Mills Hotel, which I just told you about. But we all took all of our drugs and we went up onto two roofs that were right next to one another. And in Greenwich Village, they were all flat roofs with black tar paper on it. So you just go up to those things and you walk out on the roof. Okay, and you have your pigeon coop up there. And so they all went up and they all did on the day that they thought the bomb was going to drop. And they all did all their drugs because they wanted to be totally high when the wave and the blast just, burned their faces off. And they did their drugs and they just waited. And it didn't happen. And they did all their drugs. So he said, so man, where were we? We were all kicking, man. We all went through horrors for like 3 days. There was because even the sellers, the dealers were up there. They were giving out their shit.
Yeah.
Because they were, hey, we don't need this anymore. They're all up there wasted. And it never happened. And they were just effed for like
the reality. I feel like the reality after that would be like, oh man, I should probably look at myself.
As they came back, they were just, some of them cleaned up. I mean, in other words, there was no drugs for a week in Greenwich Village. Yeah. That was the deal. It was the most amazing 1 week in Greenwich Village I ever, spent. I was like 18 or 19.
Is that hotel? What? Is that hotel you were talking about? Wasn't that on Netflix?
Well, it's a famous hotel. I mean, I stayed in a lot of. I didn't know it was famous at the time, man. I needed a place to sleep. It was fucking middle of the winter, and at $250, I could get $250. And when you go in, I never went into it until I had to pay my $250. And it's a cage. It's like an asylum. I've been in asylums. I've gotten friends out of insane asylums. So you got to go in, and sometimes you can talk to them before they release you. Yeah, I just like to talk to them. Yeah, and it's the same thing. The Mills Hotel was not a hotel. Yeah. It was a $250 asylum for junkies to die in. Really, is what it was. But they sold it because it's a huge building that took up an entire New York City block in Greenwich Village, which is prime real estate. So I hear now, this is when I was a kid. Now it's actually a very upscale hotel, very she with a very upscale, restaurant. And you wouldn't know what it was before.
The sad part about that is a bunch of people died in there. And people probably are staying there, have no idea.
Yeah, but that was kind of, to me, in a microcosm, the earth and what, people checking in to die. Into these little boxes. We're all checking into our homes, into these little and sitting and waiting, I got like really a good 10, 15, 20 years, but I think I had these every once in a while just to keep into a social kind of situation. I would have dinner all through COVID, once a week, totally masked up and stuff until we just stopped doing it. Dinner with about 6 friends, just to have social intercourse in reality. And when COVID hit and we couldn't do it anymore, we realized how much we missed human contact because we all, and that's when Zoom started, all that. But I was thinking meeting just to keep social contact once a week is kind of crazy and insane in a weird way. Until until the masks, I didn't believe it, and then we started to get whatever. But so one of the conversations we always had when I met, I get John Gabry. He's a writer. He's great. We used to laugh because he's my age, and we used to laugh about. Well, we'd always talk about, it's only going to last 200 more years, 300 more years because of climate change. Because in 200 years, climate change is going to change everything for the worse. So we don't know what it's going to happen. But we thought, John and I, that, we only got, maybe 20 more years. Okay, we're going to miss the horror of the real bad climate change and the stuff down the line 100 and 200 years from now. But now with all the fires up in Northern California and the hurricanes and the sea rising, we meet now. Every once in a while we'll talk on the phone or I'll meet in a park to just talk to them. And we have come to the conclusion that, oh my God, we laughed saying, we were going to get out in time, and we're now going, we're not going to get out in time.
It's insane. Like the natural disasters, and people are just like, man,
we weren't thinking ahead far enough or knew the facts enough to think, man, it's going to happen before we get off this planet. I mean, it's just, and everybody's just, we'll adjust. It's like the frog in the water, right?
Yeah.
You know that one?
Yep.
Okay. I just love the story. I tell it.
Go ahead.
Okay. A frog in the water. It's either warm. I think it's cold-blooded animals. A frog is a cold-blooded animal. All cold-blooded animals, vertebrates mainly, but even on invertebrates, their temperature is set so they match the temperature of the air or the water, whatever they're in. So if the temperature is that way, they don't feel cold.
Mm-hmm.
And so they don't get sick. So if the water temperature is 50 degrees, a frog's body temperature is 50 degrees. The water temperature is 70 degrees, their body temperature is 7 degrees. So in other words, their body matches the outside ambient temperature. So if you put a frog in a pot of cold water, the frog will stay cold until the water starts heating up to room temperature. Then the frog will hit room temperature. But if you start boiling the water, the frog's temperature gauge, our thing about the fingers, the subconscious stuff, it will just keep raising its temperature until the water starts boiling, and then its blood will stop boiling and it'll kill itself. Because the frog doesn't know it's too hot. The frog says, it's normal temperature. And that's where Homo sapiens are right now with digital and climate change. We're just, it's normal. It's normal. It's
that's a perfect analogy.
It's normal. This is normal.
Oh man. Well, you're right though. That's where we're going.
Geez, I hope not. That's what they're thinking.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Anyway.
All right, Larry. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Me too. I had as much fun as you did, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, and again, that's like I said, that's the whole point. I want to be different than all the other podcasters. We talked about things, not just your acting. Like we talked about real things.
Yeah, because it's great that you picked out those stories, because that's what basically I didn't know that those stories existed to that extent. But that's basically a written news thing of what ridiculousness a TV show is about. Only they tell the whole thing. I mean, that's great. Oh, I didn't know.
I'd love to have you on again too in the future.
Fine, anytime you want, man.
Yeah,
so it's just, I love getting this stuff out.
Yeah, it's ranting. That's exactly what it is. There's kind of a release when being able to just talk, about this.
It's a release. Hey, did you see that? It's like telling somebody, hey, did you see that thing on television? Yeah, wow, wasn't that weird? Or when you see something weird the other day, you go, hey, I saw that. Yeah. No kidding. Wow. So keep on trucking, man. Great show.
Oh yeah, thank you. I appreciate it, and I'll keep in touch. All right.
Yeah, stay in touch, man. It's really cool.
All right. You have a good day. Thanks.
Okay, bye.